Hey guys, Zix here. Time for the next educational video regarding crypto. Today we are looking at spot. When is it right to buy? When is it right to sell? So the basic theory we have is buy low and sell high. All right, my friends, that's it for today's episode. If you liked it, please leave a like. Nah, just kidding. In reality, that is exactly what we're doing with spot. However, it's that's so super simplified. I kind of chuckle whenever somebody says that as if it's like really helpful information, right? Buy low, sell high. Thanks. So helpful. Appreciate it. The reality is it's very difficult for beginners to know when the right time to buy spot is. And it's also really important to know what your goals are before you hit that buy button. If you're looking to swing trade, like make a trade, short-term trade, make a trade and sell it in one day or a couple days later, that's going to be a completely different strategy for someone that's like, I'm looking to hold this thing for a few months, 3 to 6 months, which me personally, that's my preferences for spot is a little bit longer, not short, quick intraday stuff. However, it all depends on what you're doing and what your goal is doing. The biggest thing to keep in mind is the shorter time period that you want to hold that spot for. I would recommend the shorter time period that you have on your chart. Like right here, I've got it on 15 minutes, and I'm going to show you a very quick example right now of when to buy and when to sell, just based on what we're seeing right here. Very, very simplistic look, because honestly I could make this video last a day going over all the different intricacies of trading, but we're trying not to do that. We're trying to keep this video somewhat simple. So let's say our goal is short term. We're looking for buy it in the morning, maybe sell it in the afternoon, or maybe in 30 minutes or a couple days later, depending on how accurate your TA is. You want to buy at the bottom, sell at the top, right? So right now I'm on a 15-minute chart. Right here I have some lines shown at some potential targets. If you know anything about Wyckoff, you already recognize what I'm about to show you, assuming I can find what I'm looking for here. Is magnet mode on? No, it is not. Right now we have just finished an accumulation on a short time frame. We went from here, I would say about here to here. This right here, I think is what I would call an accumulation. The goal would be to buy in this range, somewhere in this range. Ideally, you're looking to, obviously you'd want to buy down here, right? This just happens to be a local bottom, not the bottom recently, as everyone knows. We're testing the waters, or is this the bottom? I don't know. It doesn't really matter for this video. Any really time during this you can. Obviously, you don't want to buy towards the top of this peak right here. You would want to buy around here. Right here, short term, intraday, looking to trade spot, around this spot right here is where you're looking to buy. Now, I know this may not be super easy to recognize as it develops, right? Especially since if you kind of counterimpose this, it almost looks a lot like what's going on right here, right? We have this up and then a down, then an up and then a down, up and down, up and down. However, it's different because it's at the bottom, right? So we were higher and we came down, and then we formed an accumulation, and then we were making a purchase at that point. Now, this also would have been a good spot buying opportunity. Now, it didn't work out so great after that. Obviously, we went down. Obviously, we could go down more, but the beauty with spot trading is that even if you make a short-term mistake, assuming you're not using a stop loss, you can still use a stop loss with spot trading. Assuming you're not making a short-term mistake, you're going to be able to get that price back, right? Because this is what price does. Give me my arrow, my path. Even in a downtrend, this is what price does, like this. So if you make a bad decision right here and you miss it, you're gonna have a very, very strong possibility to at least break even if you made a bad trade. So we're gonna take a look at an example of that right now. Let's actually zoom out a little bit So let's say you bought right here and it was a mistake. At some point, price is going to get back into this level here. See how it already is? So taking my advice, if you were looking at this little accumulation and you bought spot right here, that would be about right here in this little formation here, or even right here if you got lucky. Well, price eventually came and recovered it, right? So if you buy spot right now, if you bought spot right here, right now, again, we find this peak here, we come down, we find this peak here, we made a new low, and then we didn't quite break that peak, and then we came back down. That's when it tells you this is a good time to buy spot, and futures too, but that's not the purpose of this video. If this is wrong, and I actually think it is, I think this is actually going to go down from here to this line right here, as a matter of fact. If it goes down from where you entered spot, often my suggestion is going to be to try to break even, because if we're looking at a downtrend, more than likely it would do this, right? This is where we would be looking to go. Let me change color so you can actually see it. This is where we would be looking to go if we bought spot here and then price dipped down and because we made a mistake. Get out of that trade. You made a mistake. Don't worry about what happens after, right? Because it could totally do this, right? But we're looking at short-term intraday play. So the idea is get out of that trade, wait for the next setup, especially on short-term intraday trade. Now, if your goal is to hold something for a few weeks as opposed to a few days, I would up that timeline to about an hour. Now, when you're looking at an hourly chart or even a 4-hour chart, obviously it shrinks things. This is less obvious as an accumulation. And when we shrink it to 4-hour, all we see is this downtrend. This was a bit of an accumulation here that failed. This was a distribution. However, this right here, very good example of an accumulation, and we went up. This is a distribution. We'll get into selling in a minute. This is where we would be selling. But this, and you can see if we would have bought on the 7th of March, we would have been looking at about the end of March. So like I said, a couple of weeks. That would have been your selling point. Let's go back to hourly real fast. This is still a pretty clear accumulation on hourly. You could probably even extend this box a little bit and look for it to come down here. Once again, now we did break this level here, but we could look for it to come down again here. And this line right here, if we get a good reaction here and we don't make a new low, this would be an excellent spot on hourly to buy some spot during an accumulation. Now, I know that may be very confusing, but I'm doing my best to try to dumb this down and make this video not last, 45 years. So let's say we did buy spot in here. Like I said, when price comes down and we have a strong reaction up in Wyckoff patterns, that's called the AR, right? And if it's in a distribution, it would be in the opposite direction. We have a price going up, strong reaction down. That sets your level. You're looking for price to either break the low you made here or stop just below it. Then you're looking for price to not break this AR here. If price breaks this AR right here, you've just chotched. The accumulation invalidated. But when price comes back up, if it fails to break it and goes back down, this is when you know you're looking to buy spot. I hope that trying to explain it the best I can. Price is coming down. We have a downtrend. We have an automatic reaction, an AR. Price then either breaks that low or stops around here and then comes close but does not break this level. So we had another one right here. Price came here, came down here. This is another good time to buy spot. It's again, stop loss, do your own research kind of level thinking. Because not every trade setup works, right? No trade is 100%. So if you're using my advice and it doesn't work out, keep that in mind. No trades are perfect, no matter how good you think the TA is. But here, good spot to buy spot, and then here is a good spot to sell spot. Now, let me explain why. So now if we were to invert this, it would look very similar to what we're doing right here. This, my friends, we just left this accumulation and we are having a little distribution. Now, it's the same theory. We had a peak. We had the AR. Then we came back. We did not break it. We could totally break this here. Just like over here, we broke this. We didn't here. We came back. We did not break that level. We go up. This is a good time now to sell spot. Now, sometimes these distribution patterns look like reaccumulation patterns, but we are intraday trading. So if we buy here and sell here, how much percentage? That's decent, right? This is the tool I want, right? It won't tell me. No, that's not what I want. I want a price range. So if we bought, let's say we bought about right here, and then we sold about right here, that's an 8.5% move. You're making a decent profit intraday, even without leverage there, making that purchase for spot. Now, price could come up from here. This could be a reaccumulation and not a distribution, but that's okay. That's okay. We're just looking for another setup at that point. Again, I repeat, we're looking intraday setups. You're looking to get in and get out. The longer you stay in a trade, the less likely it is to be profitable. Especially the longer you stay in profit, the more likely it is for you to lose all of that profit. I believe this is a distribution. We often have a little peak right before the end, so we may break this line and then dump. That's kind of what I'm looking for to happen today. In which case, this would have been a great time to sell your spot for intraday. I don't think we break this low. This is not really the purpose of this video. I think we're going to do something like that. We may have an accumulation down here, which once again would be a fantastic time to buy spots. So if we come down here, we have our AR, and then we do this, and maybe even break the low, and then do this. This is where you're buying spot right here. And again, we could break this low here, so just keep that in mind. But that's where you're buying spot if we do kind of like a W thing down here. So keep that in the back of your mind for intraday. Now let's zoom out a little bit. Let's say your goals aren't daily. Let's say your goals aren't weekly. Let's say your goals are like 3 to 5 months, something like that. We're going to change to a daily chart now. Things get a lot different when you change to a daily chart. So right here is a prime example. This was a solid accumulation. I have it marked already. Let's get rid of the volume profile though. It's probably a bad idea. Get out of here. All right. We had a downtrend and came down. Here's our stop and here's our AR, right? We had a downtrend. We had a solid reaction up. Then we came back down, right? We came back up. We didn't break it. Here is the part of the accumulation where smart money is buying spot. Now, you would be looking for this to continue. At this point, you're looking for this to continue. It didn't happen. It didn't happen here. But again, daily is a different strategy. So you can go a little red in daily and be okay. Because remember what the chart's going to do. If you had bought spot in this part of the accumulation here, you eventually broke even months later, right? December, January, February, March. 3 months later, like I said, we're looking at 3 to 6 months. You will have broken even if you had bought spot here, because this is the same thing. We came down, we had an AR, we came down again, we did not break that level, we came down again. This is the spot where most accumulation buyers are purchasing your spot accumulation. Now we dumped from there. And so all your spot bags were hurting at this point. However, we came back and we recovered that level. We always are going to recover that level. I mean, not always, but most of the time, 99% of the time, you're going to recover that level. And you have to be patient. Again, you're setting goals. I'm looking to hold spot 3 to 6 months. Okay, that's my goal. I may take that loss after 6 months, whatever. You set your own timeline. But if you are smart and you're paying attention to what you're doing and you're buying at the right time, this right here is the right time. This is an excellent time to buy spot. Yeah, it didn't work out for a few months. You would have broken even and maybe even made a couple bucks on it too. had you saw this break-even spot here. And that's what I'm telling you to do when it's the same pattern that we did on this lower time frame. It just happens a little bit faster. So we bought here. We had this awful, awful mess here. However, like I said, the way charts work, right? In a downtrend, they're going to do this. They're usually going to break that low that you had at some point. So here's our low. We broke it. So it's going to happen. So just be patient for it to happen and get out of that deal. If the downtrend continues, and you get to a point where you break even or even make a few bucks, my suggestion for spot holders is to get out of that deal. Of course, now if you buy during a distribution, you could be holding on to that for a lot longer. It's why it's important to know whether you are distributing or accumulating. And here's another prime example. If you bought during this distribution here, where price is mooning, we're what? A half a year later, 26th of December all the way to May, it still hasn't recovered it. So you're still in a loss. If you bought in this giant distribution up here, it's going to probably be even longer until you break even. But if you bought in this accumulation, you sold in this distribution, you're doing good. That right there is a prime example of one working very well. Now this only took a month to happen, but if you were smart enough to buy here, hopefully you were smart enough to sell here. Not everybody was. Everybody thought it would go more, but that's not what you should be doing with spot. Greed kills every trader. Even in an uptrend, look at this. We are still in an uptrend. I know we kind of wicked below this level, but we are still in an uptrend here. Even in an uptrend, you see the same pattern, right? The same up, down, eventually recovers it, up, down, eventually recovers it. It just takes a little bit longer when you're talking about that. You don't want to buy at the up, you want to buy at the down. And that's kind of what I'm trying to help you understand where that is on the chart. So again, we bought daily here. Price has already reclaimed it if you bought daily here, but ideally you would have sold that right here. Again, 3 months out. No, I'm sorry. I'm mixing time frames here. We're on daily here. We're looking for 3 to 6 months. You're not selling here. You're looking for this accumulation to build up. However, we formed a downtrend at this point. We formed a downtrend. So if you bought here, I'm looking to break even and get out of this trade. Now, if you're in the middle of this giant green candle, like if we break out of this and we just do this giant green candle, you're not going to sell your spot in the middle of a pump. I mean, let's be honest. Not even I'm going to do that. I'm not going to look to break even in the middle of a pump. I'm going to let that pump play out and then consolidate, and then I'm going to get out. You don't know what's going to happen after it consolidates. Again, the greedier you are, the more likely you are to fail. We're not trying to get a Lamborghini with every single trade. That's not how building a profitable account works. You work your way up slowly, a few percentage points at a time, and then eventually you see profits. The people that try to get a Lamborghini in every single trade fail. In the long run, they fail. Crypto sucks. Stocks suck. I'm done doing this. I'm not trading anymore. It's a scam. Only rich people make money. No, only smart people make money. People that know what they're doing make money. Not rich people. Well, rich people make money. I mean, obviously, rich people make money. But typically, most of your stock traders, most of your rich crypto traders started with nothing. There's always a few that you know, trust fund babies. That's always a thing. However, most of them did well, got themselves to where they are, and are smart enough to keep it and not bet it all, not throw it all on red 13. Not just gamble it all away in one trade. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of retail does. They'll make one lucky trade. They'll make, I don't know, it depends on the size of their portfolio. They'll make $20,000 in one trade, and then they'll lose it in the next trade. And unfortunately, that is the way retail works. Now, let's think even deeper. Let's say we were looking at the weekly chart. If we're looking at the weekly chart, this, my friends, is a prime example of a distribution. So this is also why a lot of people are scared that we may dump here. This is a distribution. So we peaked, we had our AR, We came back, we broke that level. Like I said, we don't have to necessarily break it, but we came back down and we did not break that level. That makes this line the line to beat. We did not break that level. We came up. This is where we're selling. We're selling our spot right now. Of course, if you were smart, you sold here. Weekly is we're looking at years. So if our spot goal is multiple years or 1+ years, this is our sell point here. Just like it would be our buy point if we inverted the chart for accumulation, this would be our sell point here. And then we're coming down here, and then we would likely do another accumulation up here, and then we're looking to sell again way up here. Most people are not in spot trades like that. Typically, if you're looking for super long-term, like retirement kind of goals, it almost doesn't matter when you buy it. Obviously, if you're looking, to add to your retirement account, buying at the top of the chart is a terrible idea. However, it doesn't really matter. So for me, for example, I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Crow. Although, if things continue, I may not be keeping Crow. Oh man, look at that! I didn't even check this. Right on that line. Sorry, getting off topic here. I may, depending on what Crow does over the next couple of weeks, I may be ditching my Crow. So if we break this here, should be terrible. A huge loss. But I still have a lot of money in it. I'll probably be getting rid of my Crow before it zeros. I don't want to have a Luna problem happen. Anyway, BTC, Crow, and Ethereum were my long-term retirement plan coins. I don't intend to sell them for 20 to 30 years. Now, I know that may sound crazy. Will crypto even be here in 20 to 30 years? Yes, it will. Crow may not, but Bitcoin and Ethereum will be. So, honestly, if I bought my Bitcoin at 68,000, it doesn't really matter. It's going to recover this eventually, and it's going to be in the 200,000s within a few years. In my opinion, we're going to be over 100,000 within a couple years. So it wouldn't be the end of the world if I bought my Bitcoin here. But again, it's still always better if you're gonna, it's called SIP. If you're slowly invest, you're gonna do that. You still want to buy at the right times, which is why we would be looking at the weekly chart. And honestly, right now is not a bad time, for, retirement kind of investments. But again, if we're looking at, weekly, this right now is pretty bearish. It's pretty stinking bearish. Now, typically in a distribution, you've got 3 peaks close to around the same level. So we may, if you're watching my macro picture videos for Bitcoin, I am looking for us to be around 60,000 by about August, and then I think from there, we're probably going all the way down to like 12, 13,000, something like that. So that right now, if I'm looking for my retirement goals for investment, I'm holding my money until then. If we're looking at the weekly chart and your goal is to keep that money forever, that is when you're looking to buy spot. Now is not a good time to buy spot for super long-term investments. But again, like I always say, your TA and your goals are relative to the time frame. Weekly is still bullish at this moment. We haven't broken this low. Yes, we wicked below it, but we haven't broken it. So until we break this low, shouldn't be bearish. In fact, it looks like price is pumping a little bit right now. We're in New York pre-open, so price is doing pretty good right now. But I do expect us to go up into the 60 area from here. And if we're on a daily, that would be a good spot to sell. So we're accumulating right now. It's not very obvious from the daily chart here. But if we're talking about my strategy here on the daily, we came up, we came down. Now we technically would have bought here. Now's not a bad time for daily to buy either, even though it doesn't really fit the path. Sometimes you make your own little adjustments to it, right? Like if you're talking about my accumulation path here, this was the right time to buy. We're looking to break even because that was a mistake. However, if you didn't buy there, now not a terrible time to buy on the daily chart to look to sell in a couple months. And I think in a couple months, I think we're going to be up in the 60 range. And I hope so anyway. Bitcoin crypto market needs a nice little pump. Otherwise, it's a lot of coins are going to die, which some would argue needs to happen as well. So that, my friends, is it. I know this may. I'm introducing some ideas here that I haven't really gone over a whole lot before. I am planning to do a more in-depth Wyckoff series. It's probably going to be 10 to 20 videos long because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Wyckoff. I'm going to break them down to simple, short videos, but there will be like a part 1, part 2, part 3, all that good stuff. That will make this make a little bit more sense, but I did want to get this video out right now because we are actually pretty much on all time frames, except for like 15 minute. I don't know whether you're buying here. Like I said, the smallest time frame now, you're really looking to sell it right now. But in every other time frame, we're in a solid buying spot right now. And I think you'll be looking to sell it pretty soon. And that, my friends, is going to do it. I hope I'm able to help you in your journey. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comment section below if I'm able to help you, or if you find me funny. Leave me a like. Love for you to subscribe. And I am 24/7. I am available on the Discord server linked in the description below for any additional questions and thoughts. Also, if you disagree with when to buy and sell spot, I'd also like to hear your opinion as well, even though it's wrong. I'm just kidding. Nobody's opinion is wrong. Everybody's opinion is right. Facts, on the other hand, can be wrong. And that, my friends, is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so very much for watching. And as always, take it easy.